Yo, guys, welcome back to Matriarch Method, where power meets purpose, wisdom leads by example, and women run the show. Ladies, how we doing?
You-
What's up, DJ Britt?
Bro, chill out.
There you are.
There we go. I think you can hear me
Right.
now.
Like a
Sorry.
pirate when I said that.
How's everyone doing? Liz is doing good. Brittany, you doing well?
Yeah, I'm just living my life, just doing things.
I love it. I love it. We already said that Henry is doing well. Is he still doing his berries every morning?
Yes, I've just been slacking on posting the berry to Instagram, but it's still happening.
Good. Brittany, does Kumba have anything crazy that he is like getting known for other than always being up in your business?
Like he is right now. Do you see him behind me?
Yes, I do. It's just like lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, he I don't know, he's just crazy. Like everything about him is just nuts to me. He's just so intelligent that like right now he's trying to get into my food and he's looking at me and he knows he's not supposed to be on my food and he's walking away now because I looked at him. But like he's just so intelligent. Like I've never seen such an intelligent cat, like house cat, where he knows exactly what I'm saying. He knows what I want. He'll just ignore me. And like I know most cats do that, but it's different. He just like understands everything. It's weird.
It's awful when they do that. Like, quite
Yeah.
frankly, it's awful because like they are too smart for their own good, and it just irritates you further because now they know how to piss you off.
Yeah. So he's my baby, but he is definitely a challenge for sure.
I love that. I love that. Obviously, when we record, it's like a few days out from Universe, but are you going or are you like staying home?
I have a lot of FOMO because I'm not there,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, but I also don't have any athletes there, so it's not like,
Yeah.
I'm there for work anyway. I thought about going just for leisure, but I'm at this point traveling pretty often for athlete shows. I wouldn't say well, I think I travel more than most coaches will for their shows. Like I'll kind of push my athletes to get me there
Yeah.
because I want to see them in person and I want to see them on stage. So my athletes, when I go to their shows, they sponsor my flight and my hotel and all that. Because if I did that, I would basically be paying for the whole year, almost the whole year that they pay me. Like so, if they're up for it, then I let them. But I also have responsibility with Kumba now. Like, so if I leave, then I have to find someone to take care of him. So I can't just like up and leave anymore for my own pleasure and leisure. I have to kind of be responsible. So I'll probably travel maybe for the Tampa Pro as like a fun thing
Yeah.
just to go. But the weekend after that is the Texas Pro. I think it's called the Texas Pro. I don't know, but it's a Texas show in August, the weekend after my birthday. So I'll be looking forward to that. Will be probably the next show if I don't go to the Tampa Pro. Um, and then any other athletes that are going to be on stage for me this fall because I don't have any until the fall, like September-ish.
Mm,
So
got you. Tampa
Hey,
Pro is July 31st, right?
it's August 1st. It's that week.
It's that weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go to that because my friend Megan is competing,
hmm
obviously, in
hmm
WPD. And like, I'm so excited for her to finally embrace the UPD. But at the same time, it's like, it's the finances, or it's like, since I'm also in prep, and I'm like, we'll see. We're gonna marinate on that decision.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if I go, I'm gonna have to fly.
Yeah.
So
Well, I would too, because I'm not driving 8 hours.
yeah, I mean, I guess it just really depends on like who's going and if I can room with I can split a room with someone. So yeah, we'll see.
yeah, I usually go there because it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours for me. Um,
See, now I want to go. See, now that you said that, now I'm like, all right, now I want to go.
Liz, did you go to the Tampa Pro last year?
I'm just trying to remember who like I know someone I'm friends with competed and I went there. I
I
did
think
go.
I saw you because were you hanging out with Sarah and
Yes.
I
And
can't think.
Sam, I don't know if you know Sam. Maybe not. She's not a coach.
Wasn't it Sam?
Did she compete that show? She competed, I think it was the Tampa Pro. She competed in 2 shows last summer. So I'm like, was it her? Was it Lisa? It was one of them.
Well, Lisa competed in Orlando for the Hurricane Pro. And I think that Sam did the Tampa Pro because that was the weekend of my birthday last year. So I'm pretty, if they have it on the same date, then I think it was Sam.
Yeah, we were all in prep at the same time last year. So
I don't know.
That's
The
always
only
fun.
reason why I asked Liz is because I'm pretty sure I saw you, but like I was intimidated by you and I didn't say anything.
why?
I don't know. Well, actually, I do know because you guys were affiliated with a different place and I just wasn't in that vibe. So I was like,
I think I was unaffiliated at that point, though.
Yeah, she wasn't even working on there anymore.
but I probably didn't know that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I probably just like assumed and I was like, I don't know.
I just checked my phone. It was Sam's show.
Yes, I love when I'm right.
She's competing at Universe this weekend, and I was going. That's why I was going to go, but it didn't work out with just getting tickets and all.
Mm.
Yeah, she looks nuts. She looks crazy. Her glutes are fucking wild.
Yeah, like last year versus this year is crazy.
Oh my God, crazy. She made so much progress.
I
And
love
like
that
that.
for
last
her.
year, she was right on the cusp. Like the judges at her shows were like, "Hey, you're almost there." You know, it's just who showed up today. So
Mm-hmm.
What's her Instagram?
Sammy Gal Fit. I'm just saying that off of memory. Let me make sure that's
No,
right.
you're right. You nailed it. Oh no, I saw her glutes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she looks great. Nice. Love that. Well, that's actually a really good segue because obviously, like you said, that she made a lot of progress in a year of growing. And something that I think that challenges a lot of us in terms of like female entrepreneurs and also as athletes, as coaches, is you don't grow without being uncomfortable, right? Especially as athletes, like what do we always say? Like, don't get the scale in your head, like embrace the fluff. Like it's not a bad thing or a punishment to accrue body fat when you are also trying to grow muscle. It comes with the territory. And obviously, as female entrepreneurs in a space that is not only just saturated with everybody, but saturated and kind of dominated by well known males, it's like understanding that it is uncomfortable to feel dominated in that space. It is uncomfortable to feel like you are constantly trying to keep up, right? And that, in a lot of ways, that discomfort is your fuel. It is what causes you to want to strive, to continue to level up and to be better. Like in some way, discomfort is your accountability, right? And it's also a mirror as to your true intentions and whether or not like you are actually following through and being consistent or if you're just kind of like skirting by. So in a lot of ways, like that discomfort can either literally make or break you.
Yeah, I also think like I know we're talking to women here, but I think in general, coaches that have not really reached a certain space with their coaching, like anybody with numbers or like just putting like their goal, their ideal client, maybe they're not fully attracting them. It can feel like they're constantly trying to level up or figure out why it's not happening for them. And so I think anytime you're dealing with a industry that is constantly evolving, fitness and bodybuilding, like there's constantly new information out there. Like people are going to ask you like, have you tried this? Have you done this with your clients? Have you like right now it's peptides. Everybody want to talk about peptides. And so it's like it can feel a little intimidating to have to constantly be asking or answering questions like that. Well, maybe you haven't gotten to the space yet in your coaching where you're even applying shit like that. And so it's always challenging. It's very easy to constantly feel like you're behind in some way when you're watching other people do things because maybe they have a clientele that like is applying new things on a regular basis. Maybe they have more numbers. Maybe they've been doing things for longer than you. Like maybe they've been coaching since like 2015. It's like, and sometimes like that challenge can be that catalyst to like help you to either expand your knowledge or level up or do whatever you need to do. So
Yeah, I think that it's like easy for like when you're in that challenging part of the journey to want to be like, okay, like when's this part going to be over? Like when's it going to get easier? But there's always going to be those challenges, and that's what the title of the episode is, like embrace those challenges, but that is how you grow. And I think if you just kind of like let go of that thought of like this should be easier, then it's a lot easier. It actually ends up being easier to get through because you're just saying like, hey, the challenge is part of the journey, instead of being like, when is this part going to be over? It's just like, hey, how can I use this to move forward, instead of just saying like, how do I get through this point? Because
Right.
it's gonna be there.
Right, and the idea, like you were saying, it's like, "When will this be over?" It's because you're uncomfortable, and you're likely also feeling overwhelmed by the discomfort, right? And you have to understand that, like, being overwhelmed is normal, it is a part of this process, but it can't be your identity, right? A lot of us, like, high-functioning type A women that do want to strive for more and better out of a place of respect, you will still feel overwhelmed. You will still, in a lot of ways, feel not enough, and, like, that is a part of it, but it's also important to then reserve judgment and instead kind of view it as like, yes, this is hard, but I am also being expanded upon. Like one of Britney's shirts, it was expansion season, right? And it's like, in order to expand, you have to be stretched. That is uncomfortable, right? Like think about when you're training muscles, you are stretching it under load, you're providing tension, you are literally tearing the muscle and mentally and physically, your body's like, yo, I don't want to be doing this. This is hard. This is painful, right? And your brain tells you to stop, but it's your body and your spirit that must linger on and continue to push in order to get those adaptations. And being a coach in this space is no different. You're going to have dry spells. You're going to have athletes quit. You're going to have athletes disagree and push back. And you're going to have all of these challenges, right? And it is going to feel overwhelming. But instead of just saying this is hard and therefore I quit, you can acknowledge that it's hard, like call a spade, but then also being understand with the mentality of this is hard and I'm being stretched, which allows me to evolve and overcome.
Mm, I like that. I just had to walk back in because I had to get something to eat.
Ooh,
But
what are you
like
eating?
blueberries and chicken and potatoes and green beans, like a good bodybuilder.
Ooh, you got some goat cheese on that?
No, green beans. I say green beans,
I
not
know,
goat
but
cheese.
you have goat cheese. I was asking in
I
addition.
do have goat cheese. Yeah.
Put it with that meal and you'll thank me later.
I'm saving it for my last meal. I
Okay,
have it for my last tomorrow.
off-season macros then, or like whenever you get there. Like I
Okay.
love goat cheese, blueberries, and green beans.
Ooh, that
Ooh.
sounds fire.
Ayer.
Maybe I'll just do it and go over my macros. Sorry, Mike. But I don't know where we were in this conversation because I just walked in, but I like the term stretch, um, because I think that it's a really good way to give a visual of what your mind does when it's facing challenges. Because when you're stretched, when anything stretches, it's uncomfortable, right? But like think of a muscle. If you're constantly stretching it, it's going to be uncomfortable in the moment. But after you let it heal and you try again, you're able to go a little bit further every single time. So after every challenge that you have, it's like you're stretched further and you're able to handle more the next time. So the next time the same situation comes, you're able to react and handle it in a different way. So like with my mentor, for example, I just met with him a couple days ago. I had an athlete that went on stage on Saturday. She placed fourth and she looked great, but the girls before her were all qualifying for universe, so they were fucking massive. It didn't say anything I mean, I blamed myself. I'm like, what could I have done with her peak? As a coach, as a good coach, I'm going to be looking at all my files, looking at all the things that I did and the decisions I made during her peak. She had her period during her peak, so like I had to navigate that. And when I told him what I did, he was like, you were spot on. Your instinct was exactly how you should have handled it, which I basically I just moderated inflammation all week. I couldn't really feed her up the way that I wanted to. I was able to bring up fats a little bit, but nothing crazy. And he was like, next time when this happens, do this too. Like, and I know that that was probably really hard for you to like navigate, but you did it well. Next time, add this little thing and you'll be fine. And so I think that now, I think at first when we placed fourth, I was like, fuck, what could I have done better? But now I'm just like, next time I'll figure that out and I'll do a little bit better, a little bit more than I did last time. It doesn't mean it's going to change your placing, like, but it does mean that I know a little bit more than I did when I was peaking her. So,
Right. Your capabilities being built,
yeah.
right? Like if we were all capable of doing all the things right all the time, there would be no point and like there would be no growth, right? There would be no point to embrace challenge and to embrace struggle because you would just be perfect and know it all. And that kind of goes back to our perfection episode last week where it's just like the mistakes that you make isn't like necessarily a judgment of like bad or good. Like sometimes it is, but like in B's case, it's like she did all of the right things and the outcome wasn't what they wanted. But also look at the context surrounding it. She brought her best, right? Her athlete was thrilled. Like
Mhm.
she was against some big bitches. And like if she got fourth, then that was a well-earned fourth. Well deserved and well earned. Right. And so it's one of those things where now as a coach, Brittany's now more capable because she just laid another paving stone.
Yeah, when I went into this year thinking like all my athletes got to win. I just made this massive transition. I have to prove that I can do this on my own and make sure that all my athletes are winning overalls. And that didn't happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like having to not having to forgive myself for that expectation that was just like, I don't want to say not attainable, but a little bit a little bit unrealistic based on what I have set right now. Um that was a big challenge. And so now right now I'm like literally evolving and stretching my ability to, I guess, create new expectations. And that is that my athletes are happy with the job that they've done. Like it's simply that. And so that took a lot of ego death, like for that to happen. And also letting go of the past. So
Yeah, and what I was just gonna say is you can only learn by like experiencing something, like you can prepare and have mentorship and like learn as much as you can like on paper, but until like you have something in front of you like that, like experience is the way through it. And that's I just think in the coaching world as a whole, no matter what area you kind of specialize in, like no one can just read books or, go to school for something and just like be the perfect coach. It takes a lot of doing and years of building that experience and being like, oh, that didn't work out for me so well. And, just kind of building and figuring out what your way of doing things from there is going to be.
Absolutely. And what I liked what Brittany said is she changed her mindset. She controlled her frame of mind rather than like all of my athletes have to win overalls, which I mean like she can't control that. Like she can't control who shows up. She can only control how her athletes show up, how she shows up. Right? So you can't control every little thing in your circumstance, but you can control your controllables. Right? You can choose how to view it. So now she has a much more realistic goal where she's still gonna do her job. She's still gonna bring her best out of herself and her athletes. But she also let go of the outcome to where at the end of the day, she wants her athletes to be proud of their work, right? Which that is kind of like the point of the coach is yes, we don't play to lose. Like this is a sport of bodybuilding. You don't want to lose. But at the same time, you can't control whether you get a trophy or a medal or swords or whatever, your tiara, but you can control whether or not that was your best. And that best then also becomes your worst because the next time that you do it, you're going to level up. You're going to do even better. Right. And that's one of those things where you have to like really have self awareness and support. And like Brittany said, like death of your ego, because you can't always view these as failings and setbacks. It's not about like falling behind. It's about strengthening. It's about fortifying. It's about building up, laying your pavers. So that way, the next time you do X, Y, or Z, you come back better and you come back stronger because the challenges that you faced, you embraced and you learned and got better from it.
yeah, I think something that really like helped me to move past it was when I met with my mentor a couple days ago. He's like, "How you doing?" Like, because I didn't ask him for any help with that peak. And he was like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm good. You know, I had an athlete go on stage last weekend." He was like, "How'd she do?" And I said, "She got fourth." And he goes, "That's good. Okay." And I was like, I thought he would be like, for some reason, I thought he'd be upset. Like, for some reason, I was like, you know, I was expecting a different answer. And he was like, "Okay, cool. Like, that's cool. Well, how did you do it? How did you peak her? What happened?" You know, he asked so much for context instead of just making a judgment based off of like
Mhm.
what the placing was. And so I started like applying that very quickly to everything else in my coaching over the last literally 48 hours. And that really like changed a lot. Like it kind of changed my entire coaching style in just one remark. So
You know,
challenges, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know what he did is he didn't pass judgment like you were judging yourself most likely. He was curious.
Yeah, he was like, "Okay, what happened? Like what did the other girls look like? How did you peak her? What happened during the peak?" And I think that a lot of times online we'll look at the result of whatever, you know, whatever the coach brings or however the coach um transforms someone, whether their lifestyle or their competition. And you'll make judgments based on what you see, but you don't know what they both went through to get there. You have no idea unless you've asked. You have no idea unless you know the person. But all you see is the result. And then most people will go and make the judgment based off of the result.
Mhm.
So,
What you were saying about the mentorship call reminds me a lot of just like within coaching of when we have athletes who don't check in because they think we're going to be disappointed in them, you know, and they're like, "Well, I just like didn't want you to like be upset with me and whatever." And it's like those are the most important times to check in and be for you. Like this was one of those times where you needed that reassurance from your mentor, you know? I think just remembering, like, we are gonna have weeks where it's not our best, and those are the ones where we actually probably learn the most and it matters the most, just like with our athletes, like, when they have a bad week, that's usually something that we get to teach them and work through with them is, like, something didn't go the way they wanted and they need guidance, but if they don't show up and they're just like, "Screw this," you know, then we don't get to help them through that, so I think it's important to remember in our careers too, we have those moments as well.
Yeah, I
yeah,
actually had an athlete check in and like she's just missing the mark right now. And she's been with me long enough. She knows my expectations and she knows her expectations. And I like the email. I mean, this is like gonna pat myself on the shoulder, but it's like I told her I appreciate your honesty, especially when you told me what was going on behind the scenes. And I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I also need to be very clear with you. We can't keep pretending that this isn't impacting your progress or your mindset because it is. Like missing meals, binging, not being lackadaisy with your sleep, not showing up for yourself. Like these are boundaries that you are not setting, right? So it's one of those things where you need to have boundaries with yourself and boundaries with others, and also your actions need to align with what we're trying to accomplish here, right? So it's like, this is what I need from you. I need you to get serious about your boundaries. And I also need you to get into therapy because this is one of those things where like it is outside my scope and level of care just due to what's going on behind the scenes. I want you to have the support that you need. And while that email was probably hard to read, it was well received because she knew it came from a place of love and respect. Because when I say hard things to my athletes, like accountability is uncomfortable, especially when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Like it is. It's uncomfortable to be called out, but if you're not called out, you can't rise above. You can't get better, right? So challenges help to build your character and to build you up, right? It shows you what you're capable of. But if you like never rise to the occasion, then you're just leaving yourself on the floor. And like that's not a good feeling and you're certainly not going to get better from it.
I was listening to a podcast today, um, and it was a podcast from a local church that is around here in Dallas, and it's called "The Thorn in My Pride," and it's basically about how a thorn, even though it's annoying and it hurts, it has the power to bring you to your knees
Mm,
and make the change that you need. So even though things can get difficult, both for the athlete and for the coach, or whatever circumstances they have that they're working through, to be a good coach or to be a good athlete, thorns are sent for a reason so that you can level up, so that you can take a step back, reflect, look at yourself, gain wisdom, and make the change that you need to change. If you never had thorns, if you never had that thorn in your side, you would never be brought to your knees or try to get that shit out. So that's kind of something I took today while I was listening to that podcast. I thought it was really, really powerful and very simple.
There was I think this was from Game of Thrones. And guys, I'm doing a lot of cardio, so I
love
do
Game
what
of
I do.
Thrones.
You would like it or don't?
I love Game of Thrones.
I think it was Game of Thrones, but show me some grace because my brain is scrambled eggs. But it was either Game of Thrones or like this sequel prequel thing that came out. But anyway, it was this Latin phrase where it said, "This pain will be useful to you." Maybe it's not Game of Thrones, but this pain will be useful to you.
Is it dragons?
Maybe.
If it's the sequel one, if it's the new one, it's the dragons one. I just call it dragons.
So you
Just call
know.
it
It could be some other thing that I just like totally just beefed on. I'm sure Eric's going to be listening to this being like, you totally beefed that up. But this pain will be useful to you. This challenge, this hurt will be useful to you. But it's only useful to you if you utilize it wisely. If you assess why it hurts. Why does the thorn hurt? Well, you were clipping roses and didn't wear gloves. Or you were out in the woods and didn't have proper gear. And yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to swell. Your body's going to have a response, right? That's feedback. It's not failure. So when you have the right tools, you go take out the thorn and then you assess. So that way you wear gloves the next time, right? You become prepared. And then something else is going to happen to provide you pain. And you're going to learn from that. And you're going to learn from that, right? But the thing is you continue to show up and learn. Because if you quit and fold in, you're going to leave that fucking thorn in your foot or your hand the rest of your life? God, I hope not. That sounds like a shit way to live, but some people do. And that's by choice. It's by design because they've chosen that thorn to remain there. So at the end of the day, growth is uncomfortable. Accountability is uncomfortable. Being held to a high standard is uncomfortable. Anything that you do in life is going to require some discomfort, or else it's not going to be worth doing. So when you show up without judgment, show up curious. So that way you can learn and absorb to the best of your ability.
Mic drop.
Church. I got that episode saved, Brittany. I'm going to listen to that tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good one. Just understanding the importance of relational dynamics. It made me even think about coaching. It made me think about just like, I actually wrote something down about it that I'm probably going to post sometime tomorrow. But it basically talked about when you lead people, you can lead people with your strengths, but you connect with people through your vulnerability. So like the reason why we wanted to do this podcast was because we're able to kind of be vulnerable and create intimacy based on that vulnerability. One of the reasons why women tend to connect with one another and women friendships literally feel like self-actualized women friendships literally feel different than the observation of male to male friendships is because there is a lot of intimacy through vulnerability in it. Most of the time, you're going to catch a lot more vulnerability between women than you are going to between men. And also more vulnerability from less vulnerability female to male, because especially in this industry, because of just what is the word I'm looking for? We already know that there's not many of us. So it can feel like you can't be vulnerable with how you're feeling as a female. But if you basically, it talks about how if you only give a person instruction and you don't have the skills for intimacy and opening up who you are, that instruction can easily turn into insubordination. And that's because all the receiver is getting are rules and regulations. And they don't understand those rules and regulations are not prerequisites to their understanding of how those rules apply to you. So if someone doesn't understand how those instructions are actually playing out for the person who's delivering, then it's going to be difficult for them to receive that. And so it just kind of like that, and then the thorn in understanding what can actually create change for you. It was a lot. It was just really impactful. I should just plug it actually. If you feel like listening to it, it's called, hold on, I just sent it to Ash. So it's called Social Dallas Podcast, The Thorn in My Pride. And it's really good. It's like the first episode in that whole thing. It was done in 2023 and it was solid. So if you feel like listening to it, listen to it.
I wonder if that's the same church and pastor of the guy that the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders go see. Because let me tell you, I love that Netflix like series of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. They actually, believe it or not, like just pro tip for bodybuilding, watching those cheerleaders perform actually helped with my posing when it came to the face. Because they're entertainers. Their job is to make it look easy. When we pose on stage, it's supposed to look easy. We all know it ain't. We all know it hurts. But the face, that was a huge learning point for me to not have like resting bitch face on stage and to not look like I'm like straining, is to like still be pretty no matter where I'm at.
Yep, that's the best presentations are going to look like they're effortless, but the effortless presentations are the ones that were practiced the most.
Church.
You know, when I would like practice or post posing videos and like checking pictures and stuff, like people be like, "Why are you smiling all the time in your pictures?" I'm like, "Because I gotta smile on stage. You gotta practice it every time." You know,
That's so weird that someone would even ask that.
I've
Like,
had multiple people ask
Oh,
that.
multiple. Yeah.
why? Like, why would you even ask that? Why?
I'm fucking happy that I'm doing it. You know, like
That's so fucking weird to me. Nobody would dare. Like, nobody would dare ask me a fucking question like that. Like, hello, do you know who I am? Like, that's just me. So
No, I agree. It's something where it's like in like checking photos, it's like you see the athletes that are like happy to be here. It's like they're smiling, and the ones that maybe aren't, they're like herp, or that's like I mean, granted, like especially if they're doing a video, which you shouldn't be. You should be doing your Bluetooth clicker and your ring light, so that way the photos aren't fuzzy bare. But it's like if you're making a derp face, like no, like show up with pride because that's how you're going to be on stage. But nobody asked me.
I mean, I think it's sometimes hard for people to have that connection between their face and their body and like understand and actually be aware of their expressions. So when we watch people train and they are just absolutely bombing it, like when they're first learning how to train and they're absolutely bombing it, they have no awareness, like spatial awareness of where their body is going. And it's something that has to be learned. Like you can tell someone you are doing this wrong all you want, but until they understand that the reason why it is wrong is not because they're not trying, it's because they lack awareness of where their body is positioned. It's similar in posing. It's like you have to understand and be fluent in how your body's positioned, what it actually looks like when you move that way, and how it feels like. Like, and that's a skill that takes some people like so much time to learn. And the face is like the last thing. Like, and once you get it down, it makes the whole thing like just come together.
Great. Any final closing thoughts, ladies? That was a good one.
I just have like a little analogy. I think that's fun when things are tough is just like remembering that life's kind of like a game and it can be like a video game, like where you think of all the little things you're going through as like tasks that will get you like points in like life's game. And I think that can just make it be like, all right, like this is getting me to the next level, just like reminding yourself like this is getting you to that next level in the game. And sometimes you're gonna run into a challenge or in Super Mario, you maybe run into a stupid mushroom and it shrinks you, you know, like, but you're not done with the game. You just like keep going and push at it. So I like that little analogy. Or like if we're talking like a soccer game or sports game, it's like, yeah, the other team like scores against you, but you don't just like walk off the field because you had that, you took that hit, you know, you just keep playing until you win. So I think just remembering like not to give up. Life's a game.
I
Keep
like
up.
that. I actually was talking with a friend and she was having just a shit 24 hours. And I was like, just let it suck. But know that this has an end date. It does. Like your pain has an end date. And then you're gonna recover, you're gonna get stronger, you're gonna build up your walls again, and a different pain's gonna come. And it's gonna have an end date. Like everything ends, right? Like, not to be dark and ominous and mysterious, but like everything ends. Life ends. Happiness ends. Pain ends. But make the most of your time and embrace it. Embrace the struggle. Embrace the pain. Embrace the joy. Embrace the laughter, right? Because no matter what you decide to do, it's your decision.
Absolutely. Sometimes I wonder if life is even that serious.
It's not.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'm just like, "Is it really that serious?" Like, am I like like, every day, I go back and forth, and I'm like, super intense one day, and then the next day, I'm like, "Does this shit even matter?" Like, it's like
You're like having an existential crisis. You're like, what is
like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like, but I'm gonna keep going because
ooh,
if it's really not that serious, then I'm just gonna keep going my way.
I like that. Even if it is, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
I ain't stopping. I ain't stopping.
Exactly.
I like that. Liz, any final thoughts from you after you finished your beautiful life analogy?
Nope, that's it.
I like it. Well, ladies, let's go ahead and conclude. Does anyone want to say something funny? Gratitudes, attitudes,
Titties.
titties? I love it. Guys, great
Titties.
recording with you. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye, the puppies.